Today, Vice President Kamala Harris was back in Michigan, where early in-person voting is underway in parts of the state as part of a blue wall multi-state blitz with Liz Cheney courting disaffected Republican voters, including those in suburban Detroit.
I believe what is at stake in this election is so fundamental for us as Americans. Do we prioritize a president of the United States who cares about rule of law? What I think most of us believe, regardless of your party affiliation, that the real measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up.
It's a continued sign of how important Michigan and its 15 electoral college votes are this year. Over the weekend, the vice president held a rally with singer Lizzo in Detroit. And former First Lady Michelle Obama will join Harris on Saturday for a rally to kick off statewide early voting in Michigan. Both Vice President Harris and Donald Trump blanketed Michigan Friday as they tried to shore up support amid some baggage in the state. Vice President Harris is facing opposition from Michigan's large Arab American and Muslim communities over the Biden administration's support of Israel's war in Gaza, while Donald Trump tried to clean up a mess after insulting the state's largest city and belittling Michigan's many auto workers.
Take a look at Detroit. Take a look at our cities. We're a developing nation. We have to develop more than they do. The Mercedes-Benz will start building in the United States. They build everything in Germany, and then they assemble it here. They get away with murder because they say, oh, yes, we're building cars. They don't build cars. They take them out of a box and they assemble them. We could have our child do it.
Wow. Joining me now is Michigander Michael Moore, Academy Award-winning filmmaker and host of the Michael Moore podcast. Michael, thank you for being here. You generally have a good sense of how your state is trending. How's it looking? Which of the two candidates' messages seem to be resonating?
Oh, I felt certainly since July that we were going to win Michigan. I still feel that way. The only thing I'm worried about is the fact that Biden and Harris got 70% of the Arab American and Muslim American vote in Detroit and Michigan back in 2020, 70%. As of May, due to the Gaza war, the vote had dropped to 12% of the Arab voters in Michigan. It's back up now that Harris is the candidate, to about 43%. But it was 70% back in 2020. For Harris and for Biden. So we've got a lot of work to do in Michigan to convince, mainly there's about 2 million non-voters, people generally who don't vote but are eligible to vote, who don't vote. So we just need to convince about 40,000 of them to show up in a state where Hillary lost by 10,000 votes, 2 votes per precinct. We have to do that. And there were 75,000 voters in 2016 when Hillary did lose. 75,000 Michiganders, mostly in Democratic districts, left the top line on the ballot blank, the presidential line. Didn't like Trump, didn't like Hillary, and we ended up Michigan in the Trump category. So I and others are trying to make sure that doesn't happen. But I'm not asking Muslim or Arab Americans, especially, these are our neighbors in Michigan. They've lost family members. They've lost people they know in their community, in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Lebanon. We'll make up the votes in other ways. I'm not going to insult them by asking them to vote for, in their minds, what they say to me and to others. This administration funded Bibi Netanyahu, and it's funded this war. And you can say to them, yeah, but Trump's going to be a lot worse. And they're like, yeah, no, we remember. He wouldn't let us travel. That's what Trump did, travel ban against us. The American tax dollars have funded the war and have paid for the bombs and the slaughter. I'm sorry, I'm just a white guy. I'm not going to ask my neighbors in Detroit who are Arab and Muslim to go against their conscience. We'll take care of it. We'll make up the votes through the non-voters who are going to come out. And Joy, as you know, this is going to be a tsunami of women voters in this election in 2 weeks. I don't think some people, the pollsters, I don't know if they understand how many women are going to come out. You can't tell 51% of the population that they don't have the equal rights to their bodies that men have. It's just this is, I'm sorry.
Well, a couple of things, because you're saying that you wouldn't go in and, tell Arab and Muslim American voters what to do. I mean, on the other side, Lara Trump's father-in-law is doing that with Richard Grenell. His name is Massad Boulos. They are out there really pushing and trying to stump for Donald Trump actively. Our own one of our reporters went and talked to Lebanese American voters who are very much opposed. So there is an attempt on the other side. But I do want to talk about some of the other places.
Unfortunately, I'm not Laura Trump's father-in-law or anything like that. So I have a heart, and I understand why. And so instead of complaining about it or wagging my white boy finger at them to vote, I'm going to get out 40,000 other people who are usually non-voters but would vote for the Democrat. We know who they are. We're getting them out. We're going door to door. We're not going to let Michigan fall into Trump's hands.
Let me ask you this, because Donald Trump did a couple of stunts. His stunt, pretending like he was working at McDonald's. It was a closed McDonald's. It was a complete stunt. It was BS. Then he goes to North Carolina. That was in Pennsylvania. Then he goes to North Carolina and he gets a French fry pin given to him by congressmen who before had to get rid of disinformation that Trump was spreading about the hurricane. And he was standing in front of hurricane damage, getting this pin. He's insulting Detroit workers, saying a child could do the work that auto workers do. Does that kind of stuff start to land? Just the insult, the repeated insults against working men and women.
Well, and over the weekend, he told the wives of Michigan to get your fat husbands off the couch to go vote. And it's like,
and insulting Detroit.
Detroit, he says America, America's going to end up like Detroit. America should be so grateful that they end up like Detroit. I mean, just especially the way that Detroit has come back, it is coming back.
Absolutely.
And all the great things that are happening. But there's always that tacit racism involved in statements like that. Oh, you're going to be like Detroit. It's like
black run city, 80% black city. Yeah,
exactly right. They have a slogan in Cleveland. Their city slogan is Cleveland, we're not Detroit. Okay, that's the kind of stuff we have to put up with as Detroiters and Flint people. So, but my last comment for listening is get 3 people to go to the polls with you on election day. You've got to get. It's not a vote. If only you're voting once, you don't have 3 other people voting, we lose. Right. Everybody vote and get 3 other people vote. I'm sorry.
All right, Mike. No worries. Michael Moore, you have given us the call, and hopefully your fellow Michiganders will listen. Thank you very much, Michael Moore. And coming up, everyone's been in a frenzy about polling and what early voting numbers mean. But we really all need to take a deep cleansing breath, and calm down. Calmate. We will have friends of the show, Simon Rosenberg and Tom Bonnier, on to explain what we do and do not know right now. Don't go anywhere.